one too many times, in fact. And that got him thinking, which is a little dangerous. There are certain things he never wants to hear again on an NFL Sunday or really any day. Here's your Week 12 reality check.
Hey everybody, welcome to NFL Week 13, where you're sure to hear some of the classics like Ryan Fitzpatrick went to college and some NFL tight ends played college basketball. Sure. You know what? I feel like I'm doing one of those commercials for a greatest hits compilation, except instead of turning it up, man, please turn it down a little bit. We don't need all the empty cliches and empty observations. Like, for instance, do we need to hear the Seahawks and Eagles game is going to come down to who wants it more?
Okay, we want more. I see it. Let's go.
If so, Pete Carroll and Doug Peterson, far be it for me to tell you your business, but you really should tell your respective teams to want it the most.
That's a good call.
That way, worst case scenario, it's a tie. The Jags and Titans can be described as a matchup between two physical teams. But for the record, when the sport revolves around giant 300-pound men running into each other on purpose, every team is physical. Broncos v. Bills promises to be physical.
Set this damn tone. Play fast as physical. Let's go.
But we don't need to hear either team should come out and punch someone in the mouth. Not only is that mean-spirited, I have a hunch it'll draw a flag. I also don't need to hear the only stat that matters is the final score. If that's true, then stop showing me all those other stats.
What I tell you, all the stats from the regular season on me.
Raiders and Jets will feature Josh Jacobs and Le'Veon Bell, two running backs who get an inordinate amount of their respective teams' carries.
Nothing better than handing a ball off to a running back behind some badass linemen.
You might even call them bell cows. But if you don't know what a bell cow does on a farm, your claim what one does on the gridiron is moved.
That's him, though. He like corny, but you know what I'm saying? He's solid.
By the way, why do all the league's defensive coordinators dial up blitzes? Can we get these guys smartphones already? An All-American showdown in Foxborough. Patriots v. Cowboys. Yes, we know Tom Brady was a sixth-round pick, and yes, we know Dak Prescott is playing for a new contract. Meantime, I bet no one will mention even once how weird it is the team named for our revolutionary heroes wear red coats.
I'm a little sad at you.
Two matchups between four NFC South rivals on Sunday, but I'm sorry, that does not mean we should throw out the records. How will we know which team to send to the postseason?
That's how it is with rivalry games, though.
And speaking of that, can we please stop with the updates about who'd go to the playoffs if the season ended today?
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
It's not ending today. Unless you know something you're not telling the rest of us, in which case it's very rude for you to keep that to yourself.
It ain't time for you to keep secrets. You feel something, you feel strongly about something, say it.
On Monday night, Ravens and Rams, I don't need to hear would-be fans in Los Angeles are too busy doing other stuff like surfing. For the record, I've lived in Los Angeles for 20 years, and the closest I've come to surfing is watching Point Break. Several dozen times, but it does not nullify the point.
Hey, facts.
Huge game for both the Packers and Niners on Sunday night in Santa Clara, and assuming it's close, we do not need to hear the losers have nothing to hang their heads about. I happen to think that the loser, after a long week of practice and studying tape and going to the trouble of getting to the stadium and taping themselves all up, are well within their rights to hang their heads. And whichever coach loses, please don't say in the postgame you're not going to make excuses, then take the next 10 minutes to make excuses.
You know how embarrassing that is?
And whoever wins, please don't say no one outside your locker room believed in you. What then were all those fans in the stadium cheering for you? A bunch of masochists? Here in this league, in our league, in the National Football League, I believe in you, all of you, and I hope you win, unless you're playing my team, obviously.
Check. Shining per usual. Tired of the cliches, aren't we all at this point? All right, so how about some storylines that aren't being talked about enough? So who deserves some more attention, Jeezy?
Ryan Tannehill. I knew you were going to start with me. 71% completion, 8.5 yards per attempt, 104.4 rating. Those last two, I mean, they're all career highs for this guy. And for him to come in and play as well as he has, I know those receivers down there really like this guy and his ability to find an Adam Humphries over the middle for that touchdown in their last game there. So it's amazing because I didn't think he'd come in and make a case to be somebody's starting quarterback moving forward, let alone the team that drafted a guy second overall just a couple of years ago. But that's certainly what's happening right now.
You know why the receivers really love him down there?
I don't.
They're 10 for 10 in the red zone since he took over as the starter. And it's going to so many different pass catchers,
better
too.
Stats than me.
Team above self.
It's not a competition. This is a team, right?
Like
hey,
it. Yes.
Look at this. But of course they're going to be excited about that. I feel like this offense is just so much more exciting, and they have so much.
Well,
more
let's talk about it more,
right?
Colleen.
That's all I got, though.
That's it. We're done.
Okay. What else? What are you thinking, Shaun?
Well, listen, we're talking about the Raiders right now. Can they travel on the road and can they find a way to beat the Jets? I think when you look at that game, that is one thing that flies under the radar. But I'm clearly talking about the wrong segment right now. So we're talking about under the radar.
You got cards,
I know that you were like really into Blake Martinez.
So I
Blake Martinez
looking at the wrong
is doing
card,
some
but
fun
yes,
stuff.
my under the radar storyline is
that's all right.
Is a guy. We're talking about the Green Bay Packers, right? So
yes.
the Green Bay Packers defense. We talked about Preston Smith and Darius Smith early on in the show, right? This defense is getting all kinds of credit. The one guy that's not is Blake Martinez. Right, he's second in the league right now in tackles. But when you turn on the film, this guy shows up every single week. He's a tackling machine. All right, he's not as fast as Luke Kuechly. He's not the thumper that Bobby Wagner is. But Blake Martinez is driving this defense. And here's what's interesting about this guy. It's a contract year for him, right? So what better time than to have one of your best seasons
now?
And he's proved that he's durable. He hasn't missed a game in 3.5 years. He's also proven that he could play hurt. So he's tough. He's been playing with a cast on his hand for the last 3 weeks, I think. Didn't stop him, didn't slow him down at all. So Blake Martinez, my under-the-radar storyline, which was on the other card.
So far under the radar.
So far under the radar, I even forgot I was going to give him.
Does Shaun need to take a lap?
Warm up. Go warm up. Go hit the shot. Go hit the shot.
Burgundy reads whatever's on the card, okay?
All right, D-Hall.
Hey, look, my under-the-radar thing is not a player. It's a coach. Raheem Morris, man, down there in Atlanta. And Raheem's a coach I know. I've had the pleasure to play for. And, I'm going to go into the numbers real quick. You think about this Falcons defense. Points per game through the first 8 weeks, 31, dead last, giving up the defense. Third down, 53%, dead last. With Raheem Morris, they are number 1 in points per game with 6 third down conversions, 19% as far as defensively stopping the opposing team. And what he does is more so than X's and O's. Guys told me the first day he got moved, because he was a receiver coach, a little background. He was a receivers coach with the Falcons, but he was known as a DB guy throughout his career. Head coach in Tampa over the years, but moved over to offense. Now he's on defense. And the first thing he went to his DBs and said was, look, guys, I'm going to show y'all what y'all giving up. When I was on offense, this is where we exploited y'all at. This is all the holes in the defense. And those guys really rallied behind him. And more so than X's and O's, like I was saying, it's him as a coach. It's his personality. What people don't know about Sean McVay, LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan, Raheem Morris was right down there on that same coaching tree with all those guys, helping mentor them along the way.
If they knew that, they would have hired him.
You know what I mean? So I'm giving it to Raheem Morris, man, for sure.
I just want to say, ever since doing my What the Football, which was